taking as many flex picks as you can, making FPX have to guess where champions are going. And FPX also going back to Comfort, right? The Tristana is open, but wants to go towards the Kaisa instead. I think it's, you know, by far LWX's most comfortable champion. And Viper this time around says, hey, I'm going to play the anti-dive AD carry because that's what Xayah is all about. It's all about being able to outplay, kite out, use that ultimate against heavy dive compositions, which FPX's first 3 picks are all about.
Yeah, that full-on dive, right? You have the Sylas, which not necessarily blind Lyric, but maybe an ability to counter the Nocturne. Take the ult for yourself as well with the Paranoia. So we have a very different draft. We've got solo laners around as a potential on EDG's side, and now more banning away as we've seen every other game. The Rise, the things like the Orianna we've talked about, the Volibear jungle now taken away as a possibility by EDG.
And I expect FPX to also ban out the Orianna. You have a really good ball carrier comp with the Nocturne and the Alistar. And again, the lane is manageable. Oh, they actually ban out the Zoe. Maybe the lane is manageable. You are going to fall down a bit in CS. You do have a bit of use for ultimate, but I guess instead wanting to ban out a champion like Zoe where she can bully you harder, you actually get no value out of her ultimate. It hasn't been a champion we've seen much of in playoffs, and Scout hasn't played it all that much, but still, it is a champion that we know Scout plays.
I like that you mentioned it in here. Possibilities are endless, as we know the drafting for both these mid laners can be quite wide. EDG final ban is what? Set in the end. This is what FPX was successful on their blue side games. Nuguri ran away up in that top lane with the help of Tian, so get that ban, and in the end of the day, what do FPX want to hover here? It's been a Tian favorite.
It's going to be the Olaf. Yeah, I think it definitely should be the Olaf. When we go through the tier list of what has been taken away and what is still open, this is really, that's all that's left. We highlighted the Nidalee earlier, but still, you've already locked in the Sylas, so you don't want to go too AP heavy with the fact that you already have both Sylas and Kaisa. You are going to pick up the Olaf. They already do have a bunch of CC on their side as well, so that Ragnarok is going to come in clutch. And for the side of EDG, we already highlighted the Orianna. It can get up in this matchup. Scout knows it quite well. He played it 2 times against Knight on the reverse side with the Sylas himself. Now it's going to be a question of what EDG take in the top side, because I don't really expect them to just blindly put Nocturne top.
Yeah, you're going to create options. I mean, we find out now at the very least, right, is, oh, this again? Now, people might have missed out. I don't care if this is picked or not. Flandre played Sejuani in the top lane. So if this gets locked, it is not necessarily jungle, still playing with the flex potential.
So if they do this, I think what FPX are going to do is they're going to put Sylas up against Sejuani, because that is a free lane for you. You're going against a tank. You get a lot of value out of her ultimate. You get to scale up right alongside her. It is a lane that is playable by the Nocturne because you have Spell Shield for the Ipscon Abduct, and you have a lot of early push as well. So I think you're right. I'm actually really interested to see where this goes, because I think that's what EDG's plan was. It's like, hey, if they, for whatever reason, send the Sylas top, we'll put Nocturne up there and do Sejuani jungle, but maybe without knowing, they're just going to say, hey, Jiejie, you man the Nocturne, Flandre mans the Sejuani, and Doinb is going to go back onto this Akali pick.
Looks like it for now. Let's just watch it and wait for the final lock-in, right? I love the logic here, Lyric. It makes perfect sense, but good here for the side of Nuguri if this is how things stay. Doinb's already played the Akali within this series. Flandre's already shown us within LPL playoffs that he can flex around with something as crazy as a Sejuani. Breaking the curse as we enter Summoner's Rift. 1,083 days. Game 5 is going to break that for EDG, whereas FPX, they've only ever made it to one other grand final within the LPL. That was against RNG in 2019 summer, and yes, Europe, you know what happened at 2019 Worlds when they won the finals here. So again, it could be a good sign for either of these teams. Take that favoritism into the finals, rather, Lyric. At least you'd be favorited, I mean, if you got there. And it has been such a journey, this split. It has been such a journey, this series. And I'm glad it comes down to this. Welcome to Nocturne Jungle. Welcome to Sejuani top. Sylas here for Nuguri. And Lyric, where do you want to start in such a important final game?
This is going to be all over the place. I think these drafts are so interesting. You look at Flandre going back onto a pick that is completely fine with absorbing punishment. He's going to be useful no matter what, just with the amount of CC he is able to provide. But, you know, you move over to FPX's comp. It's like, okay, very clear goal, very clear identity when you take Sylas and Akali. It's about punishing immobile backline carries. But the thing is, you know, Xayah has the protection from her ultimate that we talked about. You have the paranoia from the Nocturne, which can also really dissuade that from happening. And then EDG, they have a fine time with if they can find that front-to-back team fight. I actually don't think Jiejie has a clear target he can ult onto. It's going to be Lwx, but I feel like the most important part of Jiejie in this composition is like, hey, the flank comes out for FPX, you drop the paranoia, Viper gets time to reposition, you find the picks, you find the front-to-back team fight that you need. So again, flanking, side laning for the side of FPX like we saw earlier, this front-to-back team fight from EDG that has tools to deal with the flanks that FPX can put out.
I like that, though. The angles from FPX and EDG front to back. I'll keep that in mind as we progress through the game. Let's take state of the lanes here, because it's already a hard push here from Lwx and Crisp on the Kaisa, on the Rell. For Doinb in the mid lane, going up against the Orianna. Of course, we talk a lot about range in the early levels for Akali. Meanwhile, on this top side, Nuguri doing a good job of punishing Flandre on this Sejuani top. Nuguri has gone for Conqueror in the lane, while it is Flandre with the phase rush instead of anything super defensive.
I mean, this is what we would expect out of both, because we actually saw Flandre run the phase rush in his last matchup. The thing is, that was against Agragas. He did fall behind because of the amount of pressure he faced, but against a Sylas against tanks is totally fine because you get a free laning phase. You get to take that Conqueror instead of something like the Fleet Footwork where you do have to accept a bit of punishment. You also do have a lot of value from the Sejuani ultimate, right? Sejuani ultimate, the Paranoia, Lwx.
Almost
just going to get chunked, but...
Yep.
Yeah, I think you have 3 high-profile ultimates on the side of EDG that Sylas will do well with.
It'll be something that we have to watch with Nuguri, because if he has that free laning phase, you can see already building aggressively straight into the Amplifying Tome and Dark Seal in the first back as well. Tian not on that side of the map and actually backing on a ward. So full information here for EDG, while Jiejie made the first back in about a camp less. After Jiejie was able to pick up that topside scuttle. Just note that Jiejie has a longsword and a dagger versus the Ionian Boots of Lucidity, which is a common pickup for our LPL junglers, especially in the early game.
Yeah, you're right, going to go more towards these combat stats rather than, you know, being able to traverse his jungle quicker. But kind of talking about where we expect these jungles to play towards, Jiejie does have opportunities top, just with the ultimate coming out from the Sejuani and being able to follow up, trying to get a pick onto Nuguri. But I wouldn't be too surprised to actually pay more attention towards bot side, not only because it's EDG, but for the fact that, like, hey, you have the Alistar engaged to go in, you follow up as the Nocturne. Viper should never be under any threat, especially at that level 6 mark.
Oh
right?
my god.
Ooh!
That's Flash. Flandre's out of the lane, he has teleport, but this already talked about as a free lane. Lyric, it interrupted you, but for good reason.
Yeah, I mean, nice aggression coming out for Nuguri. Flandre doing fine in CS, though, but still gonna hurt a little bit that he doesn't have that flash available. Nuguri gonna have to respect a little bit because he doesn't have any mana, still does have a Biscuit. But for FPX in the early game, because we talked about EDG, it's going to be out mid-jungle, right? We saw this earlier.
It's an invade from Tian. Undertow connects, but now he's got the help of Scout coming through. Smite will heal him up. Doinb going in as well. There's the Shuriken Flip. There's no assassination potential, but Jiejie doesn't care. Undertow after Undertow. Doinb flashes on in. He wants the kill, and he secures first blood. Tian now on the run, and EDG can't catch up.
In Game 5, going back to the dynamic duo of Tian and Doinb, you highlighted it, the invade. Doinb easily able to follow up, pushing the aggression to the max. It doesn't matter that Jiejie flashed. Doinb was willing to follow, gets out scot-free. 1 kill on the Akali, already going to get that Hextech Alternator. TP's right back to lane and didn't lose anything.
This is what we've seen already in the series. Doinb getting in a comfortable position thanks to Tian. I want to point out that if you don't remember from previous years, Tian, one of the best Olafs we know, can sync up with Doinb at any time. As Desi Assassin's Mark, Shuriken flips there, but Jungle's here! Doinb's out! It's clean as hell, Lyric!
And this is a champion we highlighted. We wouldn't expect to see it from Doinb. Before today, he had only played it 5 times in his career. He was 1-4 on the champion. Now he is 2-4 after the game earlier in this series. And he's getting ready to pop off. Scout especially is going to be under so much threat, right? We highlighted, hey, Viper has the self-peel potential, but Scout doesn't have that same luxury.
Doinb now in a comfortable position, Lyric. We already talked about the Hex Deck Alternator thanks to Tian before, but the solo kill right in the face of Jiejie, like you just don't care. And Doinb on carries, not many people would associate him with this Akali. You and I talked about this, but here the mechanics, you can say it again.
Yeah, he's gonna walk forward, goes in with the ultimate straight into the E, procs the Q, and just
puts timers
R2 out.
After he's out as well, Lyric. Just spams down the top jungle timers. Classic Doinb.
Yep, you wouldn't expect anything less. Doesn't matter what kind of high-pressure situation this is. He is well-practiced in that. This is going to open up an early dragon for the side of FPX. And Doinb staying relatively even in farm as well. And we said, hey, you know, Akali, not the strongest champion in the early game, but still, you have the stronger jungler in this matchup. He's enabled it well. He got his own advantage. And again, now we're going to see how do FPX keep transitioning this across the map. EDG are already trying to counteract it. They're getting vision around the mid lane. You can see defensive wards on the bottom side of the map behind their red buff. And now more vision trying to scout out Tian because they know that's what he's going to try and do, right? You're going to hover mid. You're going to try and get scout splash. You're going to roam with Doinb to opposite sides of the map.
But we also know that now that Paranoia is up and available, you have to be scared if you're Doinb if you push too far. Of course, we already talked about, targets for him is going to be quite difficult.
I mean, the thing, though, is, right, you're in Akali. You have Shroud up. Paranoia comes out. You drop that Shroud. You E away. You are chilling, man. You are completely fine against this Nocturne. Again, the one who's going to feel a lot of threat from Nocturne is going to be Lwx later on. Yep. Nuguri will right now, just for the fact that Flandre does bring all the CC. Jiejie brings the damage. If Tian is there or if Doinb can respond, then I think that is definitely a winnable 2v2 for the side of FPX. But FPX is going to keep playing around where they're strong, which is the mid lane, but Meiko's already here. Yeah,
he is. He's the first one here. Viper's even moving as well. Look at where Lwx is. Crisp is joining the play. Ladies and gentlemen, a 5v5 in Game 5. Straight with the Paranoia. Ragnarok used. There's the Glacial Prison, but Meiko gets low. Flashes away. Nuguri off to the side. Now he's going to be targeted as Viper sends out the feathers, but the Herald, who's going to secure it? The Eye there. Hit and exposed. Crisp picks it up with the Magnet Storm in the backline. That's big as Tian. Doinb clean it up. It's too late for Scout. FunPlus Phoenix are flying again.
In a Game 5 at 9 minutes, Doinb sitting 4-0-2 on this Akali. You pointed out Jiejie pops the Paranoia. They try to buy time. They try to turn towards Nuguri. 4 members on top of one, but FPX find the engage. Crisp leads the charge. Doinb follows in, and still, they are the one to pick up the Team 5 victory.
That was insane.
3.5k gold lead is there. 3.5k.
To put it on that fight there for FPX, they are insane, Lyric. 3.5k you mentioned, and we'll look at this explosion once again.
Yeah, you highlight. We see Nuguri take the Sejuani ultimate, throws it out, locks a member down. Again, all of EDG turn towards the top side. They have 5 people there. They want to try and burst them up. A Crisp with this engage. Doinb following in immediately. We see the ultimate come out into the E, takes on a member. Also, Viper uses the Feather Storm early, does come back down, and FPX just able to clean that one up. Look at it. Not even 10 minutes in the Night Harvester build. Scout's gonna have to pay so much respect. He still has the flash up, luckily, but Scout's not really gonna walk past the point he is in his lane right now. You don't want to get too far from turret. You're always gonna be under threat. Doinb's ultimate already almost back available.
Just crazy. Seeing a Night Harvester on an Akali who's got a level advantage at 10 minutes into the game is beyond insane at this point, to use that word ever so abrasively. Blue buff goes to Tian at the end, I think. Unlucky, but Doinb so far ahead in this lane shouldn't affect him too much. While pings are going towards the top side, Lyric, EDG need a response, because let's be realistic, when it's so far behind at this early game with what we've seen in the series, it could be a done deal, but we know EDG, we know their macro, we know their ability to come back and try and find openings, and this game's become so dire to find exactly that.
I just want to move to the opposite side of the rift real quick, just to highlight why FPX are doing what they're doing, right? Because Viper doesn't have the Feather Storm. So Tian can just walk up, clear vision, and force Viper off this wave. He has to pay respect. Sure, multiple members of EDG do still have their flashes because they actually just got bursted in an instant in that last fight. They really didn't have any great chances to use them. But I really like this punishment of such an important cooldown like the Feather Storm.
Cooldown that we saw in the last fight, and as soon as it was down, everyone from FPX dove on in. That's going to be back up and available. Note that his heal's not there either. As things kind of settle out, the play fizzles out rather at that point as well, but I just love, look at the vision from FPX all on that bottom side. Control ward at red, control ward and try. Ward deep towards the Krugs that's going to spot out Jiejie here, so they have full jungle tracking.
And again, they forced him off a wave, so LWX also having a CS advantage. LWX very close to getting that first item, sitting a component up, has a serrated Dirk, you know, for that Q evolve as well. And now for FPX, we expect them to just consistently hover towards that bottom side of the jungle. Both soul laners on both teams do have TPs if any skirmishes break out, but I don't need to say it. You know it, Hysterics, the audience knows it. Any skirmish at this point in time is solidly FPX favored.
Of course, easy at this point as there's Glacial Prison for Glacial Prison. But out of jail free card comes Jiejie with lethal tempo, and they'll get Nuguri. A great start for EDG when everything went wrong.
Yep, they know that Dragon's coming up. They have to punish on the opposite side of the map where FPX will be. They know that FPX has been constantly hovering bot side, getting that vision. So they use that window because Nuguri did have to blow his flash in that last exchange. If Nuguri has flash, I actually don't think he's under too much threat, as we've already highlighted. Yep. And once again, we see Crisp and Tian forcing Viper off this turret, denying him more gold, denying him more XP, and getting LWX such a massive advantage.
He's just sitting here so calm as anything, going to spot them out in the brush as Viper takes that second skin, or rather Void Seeker. At the end of the day, look at this. Turret plating uncontested, continuing on. The next wave flying through, but another 160 solo gold for LWX, a 20 CS lead, and Viper's going to really start to feel it here, Lyric, and things going from bad to worse, right? Tian hovers down, shows himself on mid, and might even help Doinb next.
When you have a lot of Nocturne compositions in this current meta, a lot of them are like, you have Nocturne, you have other divers punishing immobile backline carries. And in those compositions, it is very good to get your Nocturne ahead, so he can exploit that, right? He can get ahead in items, he can get the Stride Breaker, he can follow up all the Fear, you can easily get the Randuins as well to shut down a lot of these crit ADCs that we see in this meta. But in this composition where FPX's comp isn't reliant on immobile backliners, right? You have two assassins jumping in, as well as a Kaisa who's able to follow up as well. That your advantage needs to be on your AD carry and your mid laner. So even getting Sejuani or Nocturne ahead, you know, which is not their choice. They're picking up kills where they can. They have to avoid FPX, but point stands, them getting kills doesn't really impact how these compositions will play out.
Not as much as we talked about with FPX, right? The solo laners especially, who just picked up first turret blood up in that top lane. Gold at 5,000 loot. You know, every time I know you're explaining good points about EDG, or at least what needs to happen. I wouldn't call it good. You know, we look at that top lane. Oh, okay, that's getting punished as well. Oh, we look at bot. Okay, that's getting punished too. We look at mid. Oh, nothing happened because it's an Orianna and Doinb still so far ahead of the curb. You're not seeing this right now, but it's 960 gold in just turret plating alone. The 6 kills add the rest of the gold. It's 2 dragons. It's a third on the way. It's another Rift Herald that FPX should have control of. It's mythics everywhere with second items starting to be built. FPX hold in the palm of their hands their ticket right to the grand finals, and at 14 minutes of the game, early to be saying that, but still not very bold of a statement. There's the Rift Herald spawning, and they'll continue to look for control. So Lyric, Tian starts that off, and that's pretty much a done deal with Jiejie back in his own jungle with a level disadvantage.
I like that FPX's bot lane also hovered but didn't fully commit because they're not going to lose out anything in the bot side. They did push in the last wave. It does look like LWX is... I'm not sure if he was like picking up small wolves or something or just checking for where Nocturne could possibly be, but they actually have vision in EDG's jungle, so they should spot him. And I feel like an important thing to note is that the more vision FPX can deny, you know, clearing out some of these wards, because EDG have a really good cheeky control ward in the bottom side jungle, if you notice.
Yep.
If EDG don't have vision, Doinb doesn't even necessarily need to rotate. If he just walks into his bot side brush or walks back, then both side laners of EDG have to pay so much respect, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just fog of war and denial of vision puts so much threat on the side of EDG from what Doinb can do.
And especially when you're at this point in the game, like, it's not just denial, it's also the advantageous position that you get as FPX, right? You don't know where is warded and where isn't because EDG risk walking into, you know, a pick, walking into a threat, an assassination. So deep wards in their own control, in their own jungle, especially against solo laners with teleport. Doinb doesn't have that right now, but Nuguri does. But when Doinb has that backup and available, another threat to add to the list. Lyric at this point, that ward remains for now, Doinb hasn't cleared it. He's actually just replaced his own control ward. So they will get a bit of jungle tracking, noting that they also have another ward in the river. So good vision here for EDG that realistically they shouldn't have. Will mean they know that FPX are going into their jungle again.
Thing is, Hysterics, if this was, you know, a match of Yu-Gi-Oh, EDG are turned sideways. They are in defense mode, you know. You're not trying to walk into the jungle alone. You're not trying to walk into the river alone. Anytime any members of EDG walk, like, even into their own jungle or through river in dangerous positions, right, they at least seem to be grouped as, like, a 3 or 4 man core, in my opinion. It's way too dangerous. Get some defensive wards in your own jungle. Is Nuguri looking to potentially punish this, but Jiejie, Flandre, Meiko, they all know. They're ready.
Yeah, that defensive position continues here. Flandre moving around. Remember, he has the Iceborne picked up, or rather the Frostfire. Everfrost picked up, though, from Nuguri. That's a good little tool to move away as their Herald number 2 pushes into the mid lane, but doesn't hit the turret. But FPX have grouped as 5 right around the dragon spawning. They've already got 2 here, Lyric. They're going for number 3.
And the thing is, it might not be Season 3, but League of Legends is still a very snowballing game. Yeah. If you're the team with an advantage, you control all the options. The enemy team has to play, I don't even want to say more reactively, but they have, you know, less cards. They have less options to pick from because they always have to be thinking about, hey, what's your comp doing? What is your goal? So EDG, again, that's why it's all about defensive vision in their jungle. It's about trying to farm their own camps because FPX are going to be denying those, as we see here, and try to get into mid-game as solid of a position as you can. But with the fact that we're on Soul Point at 18 minutes, Hysterics,
it's hard.
That's tough.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, this is a game 5 where, let's be honest, 4 games of this series have been so back and forth.
Hysterics, we have Stridebreaker Olaf as well. He's no fear, not going to go towards anything like a Gore Drinker, which, you know, you traditionally might see. He knows he's ahead. He's going to try and close the distance with the members of EDG, lock them down, and burst them out.
Stridebreaker is something we've seen back and forth, but you're right. You know, this is a lot
not
of people.
Much.
Not as much, right? It's been like a lot of Gore Drinker, and I think we...
Even after the Gore Drinker nerfs.
Yeah. So, a nice little itemization point. While we are talking about items, Lyric, 2 items here for Doinb, 2 items here for Lwx. Is that a surprise? Of course not. I also want to point out, Scout has gone for Everfrost on Orianna. He wants to live. He wants to survive, and I guess that is his itemization showing that.
He definitely does, and for the side of FPX, everything on the map right now is free, right? They take mid lane turret. They're going to start pathing into topside river, push into EDG's topside jungle. I feel like you should get some control wards down. Doinb's TP is about to be up, so he's fine playing in this lane. If anyone remembers the days of where Akali was absolutely busted in like 2019, one of the strengths of Akali is she can buy so much time in a side lane. You pull multiple members down, you pop the Shroud, you have the E, you have your flash available, you have outplay tools with your ultimate, and then for FPX, they get 2 choices. They either now have time to collapse, or they can make a play on the opposite side of the map.
Which they can even do before Doinb gets in any trouble, and like saying that FPX member will get in trouble this game is fake news. So Meiko hovering behind, Doinb now pushing up, level 13 versus level 12 here in the mid lane matchup, while Nuguri in the top lane pushing in, Lwx pushing in as well. These guys continuing to farm up, having a very controlled game after it went so wrong so early on. And yeah, it's slowed down, but this is just showing you how FPX have tempered their aggression, because they don't need to do anything else. They're writing FF in all chat. They're saying 15. It's 20 minutes into the game, and, you know, EDG obviously don't want to respect that. It is a pro game, and it's a game 5 where they're hoping that Viper gets some resources, and now that he's got the Essence Reaver, he's getting there, Lyric, but he's still a long way off.
For the side of EDG, it's looking rough, right? We at least have Frostfire Gauntlet out on our Sejuani. We have Mythics across the board. We have the strong 5v5 that we talked about, and sure, those defensive tools are still there, but like with the lead FPX has, even if they just kind of go in a bit egregiously, go in too early, they force that Featherstorm out, and then it is once again very hard for Viper to play.
Yep.
You're relying on peel from Meiko and Flandre when FPX have multiple tools to get around your front line. The good thing for EDG is, even if they lose this, if FPX don't manage to troll, don't manage to throw, they keep playing this patient game where you look at it, right? They're playing around both sides. They're using their 1-3-1 pressure. They're hovering towards the objectives. EDG get another chance, right? EDG, if they lose, I don't want to count them out yet either, they still get to play against RNG.
Yeah. I mean, no matter what, it is going to be EDG versus RNG or FPX versus RNG, as that's the paranoia used by Jiejie. Might just be to look and clear away some of the vision around Baron. And yes, it is. That's what Jiejie does for his ult now. Just to make sure that EDG can recount some of the vision and make sure that FPX are not doing the Baron.
And it looks like potentially his ultimate will be up by the time Dragon's up. It's going to be very close, but yeah, very short for FPX. They're fine. I feel like the fact that Doinb got his Xayah is a massive power spike for him, right? Because you pop into the fight, you use your cooldowns, you pop your W, it buys more time for, your Q, your E to come back up. Once again, pop the Xayah, buys time for your Q, W, E to come back up. Champions like Sylas, like Akali, are very cooldown and rotation based. So the longer you can buy times to get off more rotations of your spells, the harder you're going to carry a fight.
But down barrier also there as well, Lyric. Just note that we've got a little bit of MR in this Akali too, as teleports being channeled. The Dragon you mentioned, 20 seconds away here. Soul for FPX would further sweeten the deal. Here's the next TP from EDG. Tian lying in wait as Nuguri's there. He's stolen the Unbreakable Will as Everfrost is just threatening. And there's the big raid boss in Doinb. Shuriken Flip so close to Flandre, but FPX now moving towards River and moving towards inevitability.
At this point, as EDG, I think you need to go for a flip. You need to go for a steal. Once they get Dragon low, drop that paranoia, jump in, and just look for it. Because, again, at this time, I think...
There it is into the back, but he doesn't get it. There's Mountain Soul. Jiejie going to his death. 5 versus 4 in EDG. Like, boys, we're going to leave, but Doinb chases up. Viper on half L. Shuriken Flip. He's in again. The feathers fly. Doinb stunned up, but in goes LWX. FPX want to end it here, but the Shockwave is a good re-engage. But the problem is, FPX have so much more damage. You need to kill the Akali. You need to kill Nuguri on the Sylas. And Meiko is unfortunately gonna be dinner.
When we saw Doinb go in as Meiko, he's dead. We saw the 5-point strike do about 30% of Viper's HP. They have the soul. They're getting such a boon out of their resistances. I like that you highlighted the verdant barrier coming out for Doinb as well, because now that's also getting accelerated. Flandre trying to chase him out of the jungle, but I don't think he can do anything. Nuguri and Tian are so strong they can turn on him if they so please. But for the side of FPX, looks like resets are going to be coming out. They're going to set up for that Baron in the top side. And they have such a good turn if they want. Like, 24 minutes into the game, it's just too hard. I think this was the right call by EDG. Yep. You realistically can't win a fight against FPX, so bringing it down to a smite fight, bring it to like a 50-50 or I guess slightly less because of the level disadvantage. As we now see here, Doinb does flash in, the 5-point strike comes out. Viper's already half HP, and sure, LWX does get a bit too ahead of himself, gets instantly bursted, but all the other members are so strong, and there's the Baron that we talked about.
Yeah, we're back. The Mountain Salt team now going for a Baron. Doinb in again, look onto Jiejie, attracted repel. This Akali is scary as he hits Scout of the way out. Baron secured. Meiko goes in, but his team's not there. He'll die yet again. And FPX getting closer and closer to pretty much locking in the grand final.
I mean, at this point, it is all but guaranteed. They would need to massively run in one by one to give EDG a chance of getting back in this game. Especially when they have this Baron buff, it's going to be so hard. FPX are choosing to play out through 2 lanes, but, they do have a 1-3-1 comp. They could even send Nuguri bot and put maximum pressure onto the side of EDG. Maybe a choice is, Nuguri goes in.
So aggressive.
I think they want to have Nuguri around their core so EDG don't have any opportunities to find a pick onto LWX. So they are just going to keep this up, rotate towards topside once Doinb does push his tower down.
That'll be pretty quick. Look at the Baron doing work. Nuguri has the Unbreakable Will. Remember, he'll get knocked up by 3 people. It doesn't matter, but Viper's the next target. While LWX does enough damage over the wall, Doinb's going to follow as well. The Akali bopped away, re-engages. FPX can smell it. The grand final that they've been expecting to do. This is where they're coming into their pursuit, right in front of EDG's base. FunPlus Phoenix are ready to fly again.
It's their first final since 2019 summer on such an unexpected pick for Doinb in the Akali. Everyone's popping off on the squad. Nuguri showing up, Tian's here, and they are doing so good.
FPX have made the run from round number 2. This team is not the first seed, not the second seed, like EDG are. And as they TP in, looking for the end since 2019 summer, where they went to Worlds, where they destroyed Europe. FPX are looking to make yet another grand final as Nuguri heals up ridiculously with the Kingslayer. EDG regen.
Oh.
It is not over yet. Nuguri's gonna die, and this truly is EDG's last stand.
I love how FPX kind of baited themselves in that one. They think they could end. Doinb even TPs in there like, hey, we got this. But that timers were about 20 seconds, 15 seconds at that point. So Nuguri's like, hey, we're going to end the game. I'm just going to jump in. We're going to see what happens as we go back in the replay. I mean, EDG try to find their chance, right? Doinb's off to the side. They technically have numbers advantage, but very easy for FPX to move in. Doinb comes over the wall. Amazing Magnet Storm by Chris. You force out the ultimate from Viper, but he's already chunked at half HP. Jiejie does find a pick onto Tian, but all the other members of FPX are so strong. Lwx finishes that one off. Nuguri goes in to get Viper. And now, I mean, you just group bot, you push this in, you have supers in mid and tops. You don't even need to pressure those, right? It's just a matter of patience for FPX now. They just play it slow, even if they run it down a few times.
Yeah. Like, what's going to happen,
right?
Still,
exactly. They're still winning.
10k gold lead. It's going to grow even more. EDG lost one Nexus turret, and now towards the bottom, Nuguri's over the wall. The Frost doesn't connect. He's got the Unbreakable Will. He's going to manage the mid-wave, while Jiejie sitting in base waiting to Paranoia. Viper under threat yet again. Nuguri by himself. And this man, he's joined FPX. He wants no more than an LPL championship. And this fight would give him that opportunity in the grand finals. Turret now going to be pressured, and Lyric, look at the minions channeling in.
Just dive, Hysterics. FPX pull the trigger. Again, they have such a massive advantage. They have the shield from Mountain Soul. They have both Xayahs up as well. I think they're going to look for it.
Nuguri, this is where they're going to try and kill him. He's got the Unbreakable Will yet again, but the whole of EDG on him. Glacial Prison doesn't matter. They're burning down the turrets. FPX, fly, Phoenix, fly, as they're looking to take down EDG. Expectations be damned. Doesn't matter about first or second seed. When you're the Phoenix, you book your ticket to the grand final with one step away from MSI.
FPX in Game 5. They bet on Nuguri performance coming out in this series, especially obviously in the games they won. Just completely taking over the game. I also want to move to the bot lane for a little bit because Crisp, some of the Magnet Storms in this game, we remember the one around Rift Herald where we had a full-on 5v5 at like 8 minutes. We weren't actually seeing that too much in playoffs. It seems like LPL teams were getting a lot better at being like, hey, we don't need a full 5-man rotate towards Herald. We're going to leave AD carries bot side. You know, we're going to respect whichever team has a stronger power spike. Didn't happen this time around. FPX find the engage, and this feels like it has the same strengths that, you know, that 2019 FPX team did, where, you know, mid-jungle support synergy is insanely OP. You have, you know, one of the best top laners to ever do it. And then Lwx is still allowed to be that X factor, that wild card who, you know, given room, some games he's going to pop off. Sometimes they're going to win 2v2 in lane. And, you know, he's always going to have a job that he's able to do. So FPX very deserved finals. And again, a team that we were all excited for last year, right? They came off a victory in 2019 from World.